how did the idea of Vita Sapien come from? How did it come from? How
Yeah.
did it come about?
So when I was 17 years old,
Mm,
I actually got enrolled into this born again Christian group for about 10 months, and I ran with those guys. And this was
okay.
what's called a Pentecostal church. So these are the guys that were saying it's all going to burn anyway. Their worldview that they shared with me was that Jesus was coming back, and that when he came back, it was going to all of the good Christians were going to go up to heaven with Jesus. They would get to go
Mm,
to heaven without dying, and that everybody
mm,
else was going to stay behind and have to suffer Armageddon war and the trials and the
mm,
tribulations and the burning of the forests and basically the annihilation of life on Earth, right? And
yeah.
that was the story that they told me. That was the story that those people believe, and these were the people that say, "Don't worry, it's going to burn anyway," right? So I left that because I didn't like that story. I didn't think it made any sense. It wasn't intellectual. They didn't, you know, that wasn't that didn't make any sense it didn't make any sense. And
Mm,
but that had always stuck in my mind because I knew that a lot of people actually believe that, whether they be the Christian version or the Muslim version or the Hindu version. There's lots of people that hold those views. And then years ago, I came to this idea basically that the reason that we had a climate and ecological crisis was because of these beliefs. That the root of the crisis was belief. So I wrote an article on this and I posted it onto LinkedIn, and basically saying that, all of these unsustainable religions, we need a sustainable religion. That was the original conception. So I looked up how to create a religion in Australia, checked out the Charity Commission, got the paperwork, and I said, well, that's pretty straightforward. So I just wrote this little article that says, this is why we need a sustainable religion, and this is what it would look like, and this is how to apply for it. And I put that on LinkedIn, which is the social media for business. And then I went on
mm,
and did something else because I had other things to do. 3 days later, I was contacted by this guy who asked me to come and talk about my sustainable religion in Kuala Lumpur,
mm.
talking to before.
I see.
All right.
Amazing.
And so I'm like,
Amazing.
wow, that
Okay.
came out of the blue. I just wrote this thing and
Mm,
flipped it off. I was writing these blogs left, right, and center. And uh
interesting.
and so I had 2 months to prepare my notes. So I thought, well, let's investigate this idea some more. Let's start filling in the blanks. And so I worked on it for 2 months, and then when I came back, I continued to work on it. What I came to realize very early on was that the answer wasn't religion, right? Because people who are religious already have a religion, and people that aren't religious aren't looking for a religion in the first place. So it wasn't the right
Mm,
framing. And so that's why I've moved away from the religion idea and moved on to more of a broader concept of worldview. And a worldview is basically a term that encompasses one's religion, one's spiritual views, one's knowledge, one's personal experience, and so forth. So, worldview is this idea that encompasses all of these different lenses through which we see the world. And that's the work that I've been working on over the last 8 years is to basically flesh out what that worldview would look like that gives us the best chance of surviving the 21st century. Because right now
okay.
it's not looking good.